Good morning, Bournemouth fans. Happy Monday. Well, it is going to be a happy Monday, isn't it? Welcome to this video pod of AFC Bournemouth versus Norwich City. Remember, if you want to hear the full audio pod, you can download it on your podcast app. Just search for Back of the Net Bournemouth, and there's more than this. There's Do You Remember features. We're going to be going over Man City in the week, also Harry Arter's departure too, and a lot more besides. But the video pod section is always with the main man himself, Jeff Hayward. So Jeff's with me. How are you?
Yes, I'm pretty good. Thank you, Sam. Pretty good.
Nice to be sounding upbeat, isn't it, after a match?
Yeah. I thought it was nice to get the win against a team who are going to be up there challenging. So good to get 3 points against them.
Agreed. And it was a performance which had a very good first half. And then the second half, there were echoes of maybe not so good performances like Middlesbrough. But we got the 3 points. We are flying high in the table on 7 points. We're not quite in the promotion spots at the moment, but it was a good result against a side that was always going to be a tough task, wasn't it?
It was. Last season, I think the 0-0 at home to Norwich was one of those downbeat moments. And the away game was just one of the worst games of last season. So certain people had a lot to prove today. And I thought Steve Cook was immense at the back today. And he's much better as a defender than as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly, isn't it? But what did you think of the starting lineup then when you saw it at 3 o'clock announced? Were you happy with it?
Well, I was a bit surprised. I mean, obviously we knew that Lloyd Kelly was going to be out with the hamstring problem he picked up in midweek. However, touch and goes to who JT would give the that left wing back spot to. He opted for Diego Rico. And, there were, I guess he didn't have too many options, but Jack Simpson would have been probably in the frame for that spot. Didn't get it. So good to see Rico starting for us. And I thought it was going to be interesting to see how the midfield would shape out because David Brooks was ill.
Yeah, that's right. And since then, we have heard that he has had symptoms that are in line with coronavirus, therefore couldn't be playing. He's had a test and just awaiting the results. Hopefully all will be good on that front. And, many people who are listening to this podcast have probably been in similar situations with their workplace, whereby if they have a test, they've got to stay outside of the bubble, outside of their workplace until your test results have come through. So within 48 hours, we should know. Hopefully that will be later on the Monday or maybe on Tuesday. But he was out. Junior Stanislas was out. Not really sure what his issue is. Of course, Lloyd Kelly with a hamstring was out. But even with the players that were on show and with the certain player on the bench, I still felt confident when looking at that lineup.
Yeah, it was good to see Josh on the bench coming back into contention. I thought what was going to be interesting would be how we actually played, because the 3-4-3 is obviously kind of dependent on the two sort of wide players. Last week it was Danjuma and Brooks, previous week Danjuma and Stanislas. So how he'd set up without there being an obvious wide person on the right hand side. So an interesting lineup, and actually it turned out to be far more fluid than the 3-4-3, and I thought it looked really good in that first half.
I thought it did. And when I looked at the Norwich side, I mean, Daniel Farke had to make a few decisions, one of which was on Cantwell, and he's being lined up by Leeds for a £15 million transfer, rumoured. He wasn't in the lineup, which indicates he might be on his way, protecting him somewhat. And also Buendia, who can pose a big threat for them as well, was also declared unfit. They still have talent. Pukki, Hernandez, and many more besides, but not having them in that starting 11, I sort of, the whites of my eyes lit up a little bit, and I thought, hang on, we could take them to the cleaners here. Maybe I was a bit optimistic, but I'll take a 1-0.
Yeah, and they are a good side, even without Cantwell and Buendia. Pukki is a dangerous striker. Hernandez is a quality player, so And Krul is a good goalkeeper, as he proved in that first half, and in fact made a couple of decent saves in the second too. So, we knew that they were going to be tough. What I thought was actually better was the way they play. Norwich are a much more a natural footballing side than someone like Borough, and I think that suited us a bit more. It was playing the ball through midfield rather than bypassing it. Certainly in the first half, they sort of changed a bit in the second, but actually it suited us a bit more. It was football played on the ground.
And we ourselves played a bit different in terms of what we saw, because with that midfield three of Lerma, Billing and Lewis Cook, we saw Lerma playing a more advanced role. And that's something that we've not really seen for a long time, but I thought he did really well in that first half.
He did really well. And do you know what? I thought it was going to be Lewis Cook playing that role, but actually it was Lerma who was getting forward, and the way we pressed them in that first half was really encouraging. I thought, we won a lot of balls in their half. They didn't really like that intensity, and that I think was partly Lerma playing higher up. I think that the wide men, Smith and Stacey, were excellent pressing forward as well. And I thought Billing looked pretty decent as well, breaking up play and just linking play together. Also, shout out to Lewis Cook. That is the Lewis Cook that we want and we've seen before. He was playing some really terrific, incisive balls from the deep line position, or sometimes further up in midfield. And we looked like a team. We were sharp. We were quick with the passing. The one-touch passing was really good. We were really on it, which we weren't last week. So that was really good, and it was a lot more fluid. I mean, you kind of looked at it and thought at times it felt like there was three at the back, three in the midfield. Then there was a two, then there was a one, and then there was another one up the top. And it was like, whoa, what is going on?
Where are we getting all these players from? And I think the central defensive three, I thought, worked quite well together as well. Steve Cook had a pretty good game. Chris Mepham looked very good. Sometimes I've said he's fawn-like in the way that he maybe just hasn't been able to prove himself fully, but I really hope he gets a run of games at this, because this could do wonders for his confidence. And I thought he did well, but also Rico as well on the left side of that three really did excellent.
Yeah, we played much better as a defensive unit, and even when Norwich got through, I thought Begovic looked pretty solid as well. Coming to claim at corners, which was really good, I think, for the back four. And also just generally his shot stopping, he seemed much more commanding, and I think that helped. I mean, throughout the game, I don't know about you, but I didn't really feel that Norwich created anything for all the pressure they had in that second half.
I agreed, and that's one thing. I was nervous, but when I look at it, we just kept them to having shots outside the box, really. They had a lot of pressure outside the box, but they didn't actually do much with it. And when they did shoot, wayward shots over the bar. And, I would probably look back at it with different eyes now and think, well, albeit it's easy to do once you've won. But if I looked at it again, I think I'd be almost wondering why I was worrying so much, because, yeah, you're right. For all the possession they had, they didn't make the most of it. But even still, we should have made it easier by converting more chances, and we'll go on to that. But in terms of the actual chronological moments in the game, well, firstly, I've got to go back to 2:37 p.m. because I was over in Kings Park that afternoon, Jeff, and I did a video which I posted on Twitter and said, this is weird, this is eerie. I walked past Dean Court, and I know this sounds a really simplistic thing to say, but it is only the fans that aren't there, because everything else seems exactly the same. There seems to be the same amount of stewards, policing, all the barriers were there, yet there's just no fans milling around the stadium. And it's so weird, and it almost made me feel sad in some ways that we're not there. But obviously it is what it is. And I took a video and I put it on the website. And also, as I drove up the road to the mini roundabout at the end of Thistlebarrow Road, I timed it perfectly because the Norwich team coach was coming in, and I shit you not, there were 3 Norwich fans in full kit by the roundabout. I don't know if they'd been travelling down, but they had flags and they were waving and they were cheering their lads as that coach turned into Thistlebarrow Road. I would hope that they're local fans that haven't travelled all that way. I certainly hope that they wouldn't have made that long journey. But anyway, if they are making that long journey, I hope they get back home safely, and I hope they think it was worth it. But either way, let's go on to the game itself. Odd decisions by odd people. Bournemouth, I thought, started really well. And we had a number of chances early doors. There was a Stacey that I think set up Lerma, and his first touch just let him down, a bit of a poor first touch. But straight after that, there was some really good build-up play from Danjuma, and I think he spread it out to the left, and some good work from Adam Smith, and Lerma then enabled Solanke to get a snapshot on goal that he's sometimes better in those situations where he don't have to think, and he smashed it. But sadly, it was straight at Krul, but nice to see him get in a good position again.
Yeah, I thought that was really good play. Well, what we did today, particularly in the first half, was we got the ball to Danjuma and then supported him, because he is dangerous and creative when he's got the ball, and he stands defenders up. He's not bothered about, not having the ball at pace into space. You can give the ball to him. He will stand defenders up from a standing start. He's confident he can get past them, and that is really good. And he is great. It was great interplay. I thought Solanke was really good, knitting the play together with him as well. And unlucky. Tim Krul, good save. He's a good keeper, and that was a smart save. I think it was just after that where Stacey had a really good header.
Yeah.
Again, that was billing, wasn't it? Just again, Danjuma holding a lot of players, a lot of defenders up. We create space on the other side, and I thought Stacey was really unlucky there. Great save again. So we were creating some decent chances, and I kind of felt that with the quality of the chances we were having, that we needed to score, and we did.
Yeah, and we'll come on to that. And we had chances even before that as well, as you say, Stacey. And also there was a great little pass from Lewis Cook where Lerma was playing between the lines and he shot. It was a scuffed shot in the end. Smith cut inside across goal, and he ran across the pitch and he got that shot that ended up going over the bar. But that was the Adam Smith of old. But then the moment that we were waiting for, and that was Jefferson Lerma, who played in Danjuma, who turned on the ball, he let it run, and you just knew that he was going to take a shot, and fantastic strike.
I thought that he was just a bit of a one-trick pony who could only cut in from that left-hand side and shoot on his right. But what a finish that was! What a finish! That was a brilliant turn, one touch on his right, then first time on his left and 20-odd yards. And the great thing that you want from your strikers is to have the confidence to hit the target from a long way out so early when the keeper wasn't set and Krul was not ready for it. Wow, what a finish. Fantastic goal. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was absolutely delighted. And it came at a really good time for us because Norwich, they didn't have much of the ball, but when they did, they posed few threats. I think there was a chance from Hernandez early in the game, shot from a tight angle after a brief spell of possession, and they didn't seem to need much of the ball to create some opportunity. So that was why I was a bit concerned in the second half when they got more of the ball. I thought to myself, they're going to make something of this. And I think towards the end of the first half, Rupp had a shot from distance. It was a very good save from Begovic there. Now, in terms of Danjuma and his goal, cracking strike, ran up to the camera, had that T-shirt on underneath saying, "Stay strong, Lloyd." And all the conspiracy theorists on Twitter are wondering if that's about Lloyd Kelly or whatever. I'm sure by now, at the time of recording, maybe we know what the truth of that was. But I was worried, like, my goodness, how long is Lloyd Kelly out for?
Well, me too. And hopefully it is just a slight hamstring strain and he will be back in a couple of weeks. But yeah, geez. That's the sort of T-shirt you wear for a cruciate ligament injury.
Yeah, that's right. But Danjuma, I think, he was the star of the show, and in the second half, him and Solanke combined a couple of times. And there was a great moment just as the second half started, where Solanke, a lovely little dink over the top of the defence for Danjuma, who shot really quickly. And I think he almost shot on his wrong foot. He shot with his left foot, and ideally could have waited for the ball to come across his body and then sweep it with his right. But that went wide of the post. He seemed to be perhaps a bit dizzy with the situation. He was on the spin and he'd lost his bearings somewhat. And then moments later on the left flank, great touch from Danjuma to bring the ball down. And then he came in, he cut in almost like he did against Blackburn. Low shot, which was saved, showed some confidence. And then Dom Solanke after that, he won the ball, ran the length of the pitch, a low strike towards goal. It was on target. And then later on, one that Dom really should have scored, where Danjuma combined once again.
Yeah, poor header from Dom. And I would have liked the confidence and the security of a second goal to really kill him off, because what we tend to do, we did it last week when we were 1-0 up. The three centre halves I don't have a problem with, but it's the two wing backs, if you like, Smith and Stacey, just drop too deep, and we start playing like a back five. The midfield drop back, and they went for us much more aggressively. They pressed us much more aggressively, and we weren't as quick and accurate with our passing out of defence. We coughed up the ball a load of times, even before getting over halfway. And it invited pressure on. We sat much too deeply in that second half, albeit they didn't create anything, but it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah, and there was a mad 2 minutes where Norwich claimed that Max Aarons went down under Adam Smith challenge, and I must admit at that point my heart was in my mouth. But Willow on commentary said, that's the worst dive I've seen in years, and it looked like it probably was soft. So I don't even think VAR would have saved them with that one. But then, they did seem to have moments where Bournemouth were just soaking up Norwich pressure. We weren't limiting them to long range shots, but it just underlined the need to make the result more comfortable. And I was looking back at that chance for Solanke and thinking, if only he'd scored that, this would be a lot more comfortable. But in the end, Dom Solanke succumbed to the introduction of Josh King on 65 minutes, and really nice to see him back in the red and black.
Really good to see Josh back. And where I think he's probably got the edge over Solanke is in that holding up the play, being able to run with the ball and take the pressure off the midfield and the defence. And he did that a number of times. It was great to see him back in a Cherries shirt. He may well be on his way, but actually I think he probably needs a bit of a run of games to prove himself and to put himself in the shop window again. And, he put in a decent shift when he did come on.
I think that there was a time when he came just after he came on, where he was set free down the left-hand side, and having the benefit of a player that's capable of holding the ball up made a massive difference. At a time where we were constantly losing it in the middle of the park. On the free-for-all on YouTube, I said that there was a moment where Lewis Cook had the ball in midfield and he had space to run into, but he just decided to ping a ball over the top to Josh King, which in the end was cut out by the Norwich defenders. And just keep hold of the ball, run into that space. But when Josh King did get it, I thought he was very good at holding it up. He was strong, and there was a sublime bit of play even towards the very end of the game where we were basically seeing it out on around 89 or 90 minutes, where Josh King was he held on to the ball for a good minute in that left corner there between the east and north stand. And he was great. He showed tenacity, strength, pace, held the ball up really well, and basically won us the game.
Yeah, it was great. He really takes the pressure off, and he nearly scored as well. That interplay he had with Danjuma where the ball came across and you thought, he's got a chance there, but Krul just got in ahead of him.
I couldn't work out if he pulled out then or not, but either way.
He didn't go 100%. But generally, I thought that definitely helped. The substitutions helped. I thought Billing ran out of gas quite significantly in that second half. And there was one stretch of play where the ball was in play for about 10 minutes and Gosling was trying to come on to replace him. And he just didn't have the the energy that he'd had in the first half. And I think what we need to work on against teams that what Norwich did, they brought on some bigger players. They went much more direct against us, and we're going to get a lot of that in the Championship. We just need to make sure that when we're ahead, we actually keep hold of the ball better. We actually dominate teams still, even if we're a goal up, not conceding possession, because some of the percentage statistics on how much of the ball we actually had in that game, I mean, what was it? It was just over 25%, wasn't it? And that is risky. That is risky to play football like that and try and win 1-0.
But we held on, and very pleased that we did. And it's a confidence boost that we needed, wasn't it? And what's quite good about it, like I've said previous times, is that the performance, still there's work to do. It wasn't the complete performance by any stretch of the imagination, but at least we're getting results when we do play poorly. We did against Middlesbrough, and now I'm starting to see that. We played all right against Norwich. I thought there were flashes of brilliance, but this time we've got 3 points, and that should give JT a lot of encouragement.
7 points from 3 games. I think we're 4th, which is, terrific, unbeaten, looking much more solid at the back. I think the system, the players are getting used to it. It worked better, definitely, in that first half. Bring on Coventry.
Brilliant. Well, bring on Coventry indeed. What did you think of that? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, if you want to download the full audio pod, then just get on your podcast app, search for podcasts, and away you go. Search Back of the Net Bournemouth. And myself and Jeff will be on there. And there's a significant contribution as well from Tom and Jordan this week as we pay tribute to Harry Arter too, as well as looking at the best parts of our loss to Manchester City. But anyway, Coventry coming up, and there's some really good content on the YouTube channel this week. So do make sure you subscribe, and see you in the next video. Up the cherries.
Up the cherries.